Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles TAN and Tech. I'm Carlos Casanova. I'm here with Kirsty McGowan.
Hi, Carlos.
Marco Lavecchia
Carlos, how are
from
you?
MSP Works. And we're here at Knowledge 18 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Marco, so welcome to our little show here. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we've been hearing a lot about MSP Works for the last couple of years. You know, we've spoken to you before. Tell us a little bit, you know, for the folks that haven't heard from you or haven't heard from you in a while. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing and some of the great successes you've had.
Sure. So MSP Works is a global managed service provider. We focus on obviously IT services for small, medium-sized companies, mid-market, and enterprise. Our managed ITSM dream that we've been talking about and introducing at the ServiceNow show and through the market over the course of the year is really focused on 4 pillars, where we're addressing pain points for organizations that have to resolve around service desk, IT service management, IT automation, and remote system administration for people who have the ServiceNow platform.
Oh, nice. So I would think that, especially some of the smaller organizations that, kind of hard to justify, they're 3 people on a service desk and 2 different or 3 different locations stuff. I would think that's a pretty attractive offer for these organizations that they can't build up the expertise. Right, and that's kind of what you guys do, and they're kind of scattered and not large enough to invest in that. So, is that sort of one of the markets that you guys are really targeting?
Definitely. I think when we take a look at the target market that we want to go after, there's a lot of organizations that struggle with delivering, IT support to their customers or to their employees. It's one of the biggest pain points that when we speak to CIOs, kind of what they're facing. So we really kind of focus on making sure that we have the right types of solution mix and product mix that we can introduce to a business to address their pain points. As a managed service provider, we really kind of geared towards uptime and making sure that the customer end user satisfaction is optimal. And just really kind of coming in there and seeing, what can we do to help them out is really the MSP Works' mandate.
So do you look at the people side of that as well as the technology side?
Yeah, actually it's a 2-pronged approach. So on our enterprise level service desk, we're really trying to support the user, and so we put the people in the bodies. Our service desk is based out of Prince Edward Island, Canada, so it's not an offshore component, and people in North America really like that, and we're looking at expansion as well into Latin America and into Europe over the next year. So it's one of the fastest growing pieces of our business. And then as we started taking a look at that, we figured that we were coming across people that were looking at ServiceNow, love the technology. As we all know, it's one of the fastest growing software SaaS companies in the world. But how can we develop a platform that smaller businesses can consume and not have to worry about implementation costs and all that kind of stuff? So we created a platform called Grand Central that's really geared towards the smaller organizations on the mid-market side. So I would say anywhere between 250 to about 5,000 employees is really kind of where our platform is geared towards.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I was just with a client, and that's one of the things they're really struggling with. Just some of the basic blocking and tackling, and they don't seem to have the discipline or the energy around getting those people up to speed. And one of the things I was kind of suggesting that they look at is, they have an in-house installation. They have multiple sites. They have a different installation somewhere else.
Sure.
They're not on a ServiceNow platform. They're actually on a locally installed thing. And I just looked at it and said, that's crazy. It says, and even without looking at tools, I said, there are other options that they would, that they would able to grow and not have to worry about investing there. So,
and it's a very good point that you bring up, because the organizations that are taking a look at this and how do they modernize how they deliver services to their employees and customers, and then they may take a look at the resources that they have in house and know that they don't have the right mix of people. And so this is kind of where we come in, right? Like we really want to support businesses in a co-managed model, right? So we complement and work with the IT department to really make sure that if they're going to roll out Office 365, we can help out with that project as well. They don't necessarily have to go in and hire more people for that. And so we could kind of come in and then we can remove ourselves. So we can be very unique in terms of what we do.
So you can help on a project basis as well as a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's a lot of companies out in the situation that Carlos was saying that really, they might be able to manage on that day-to-day basis at a certain level, but when it comes to as you say, things like big rollouts.
Sure.
They just can't do it.
Correct.
So that's what, so you can step in at that stage
Correct.
as well as that day-to-day management.
Correct. And CIOs today, when you take a look at the marketplace, everybody's trying to figure out, how can we save more money, right? And budgets aren't necessarily always increasing, and how do we automate things, and that's really kind of where the whole industry is going. So I think we're positioned very well to support those companies in those initiatives in terms of what they want to do. When we take a look at ServiceNow, there's a lot of organizations that see value in the platform. And I was mentioned before, they just don't necessarily know how to implement it, or even if they do implement it, they don't have the people to basically continue maintaining the ServiceNow implementation. So we actually could provide the people and the resources to somebody who has ServiceNow and manage it for them, so they just don't have, for instance, an expensive ticketing system.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that when I was speaking to this particular one, that was, it's kind of weird that we're having this conversation, because I was just with them a couple of weeks ago. That was one of the big things that they looked at. So like ServiceNow, it's just too much for us. We're not going to use all of that. We're not going to get into that investment. But you're really providing an alternative to, like, hey, you kind of get the benefits of this sort of huge platform, but carved out for your specific size. Because for them, honestly, they weren't even considering, looking at a ServiceNow platform. So yeah, it sounds like you're really giving them an alternative entryway into that market space. Yeah,
it really is an alternative for them. So, we've taken a look at 800-900 ServiceNow implementations and realized that 80% of the implementations, they typically all look the same. It's that last 20-30% for organizations where that customized comes in.
Right.
And so with our Grand Central platform, it is a pre-configured instance of ServiceNow. It's great for organizations that don't have the expertise, don't necessarily know, or for instance, don't have a 9 to 12 month implementation timeline. Some people need it right away.
Yes.
Right.
Acquisitions take place, as you mentioned. There's multi offices across the country or worldwide, and so how do we basically consolidate a solution? And so with our Grand Central platform, we can get it up and running for organizations in 3 or 4 weeks, and they're using ServiceNow. So it's a really powerful tool geared towards a certain type of organization customer that wants to adopt the technology. As I mentioned before, doesn't have the know-how.
Right.
Well, I can see that being pretty popular, because I've worked in organisations where the idea of rolling out a service desk with so many bells and whistles is exciting, but they know they just don't have the resources to do it.
Sure,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so having someone that can come in and say, well, here's an instance that is going to do everything you want, and what other flavours do you need in it, and we can help you do it. That's
And when we took a look at the stats of the people that we speak to, the biggest pain point is the implementation. So ServiceNow gives you anything that you want to do with it.
Which is also the danger.
Correct.
Exactly.
Then, how do you implement it and make sure that it's flowing through the organization?
Right.
And so I think we're addressing a major pain point in the marketplace, where we're also giving somebody a platform that, if they're looking at ServiceNow and they're saying, hey, listen, this is the platform that I want to use in the future, don't necessarily have the know-how now, we can give them our Grand Central platform.
It's a roadmap to the
and
full.
decouple them onto the platform in a year or two, once they know, hey, this is exactly what we want, or they want to start integrating ITOM or HR or facilities or anything out of the platform.
Right. So, in the last couple minutes, I'd like to touch on a little bit of the automation side of it, because that's obviously, especially with DevOps really kind of becoming stronger and stronger. Just a little bit onto that. How are you guys working into that automation side to get the throughput and the cadence, a little bit quicker?
So what's really interesting is, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to actually be doing an announcement with basically IBM Watson. And we're going to be integrating Watson into our service desk for basically automation.
Nice.
So that's actually a really unique type of thing that we're excited about. That it's going to integrate into our ServiceNow platform, and then even somebody who may not have ServiceNow can also actually benefit from the Watson platform as well. And so we know through all the data and information that we've seen, we see that basically customer satisfaction rates increase dramatically. And we're going to be coming out with 2 components, basically an agent chat box and a knowledge chat box as well in our initial kind of phase 1 as we roll this out.
All right, so we kind of got, I guess, a pre-release on the news to come in 3 weeks. So With that, I guess we'll cut it off. We'll tease the new announcement coming up in a few weeks.
Pretty exciting. Look forward to seeing it.
And we'll definitely look forward to having you back and hear how that's going.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Monica.
Thanks.